Greetings and salutations, people of the internet. Austin here. Welcome to the finale of the Oncouv Region breakdown. If you haven't seen the other parts beforehand, please check out the playlist showcasing the rest of my fakemon videos. Before we begin, a bit of housekeeping. It's been roughly a year since I restarted my YouTube channel again with my current fakemon content, and I want to thank y'all so much for the love we've gotten in that time. We have grown so much faster than I expected to, and I hope to continue to do that. I want to try and reach 500 subs by the end of the year. Anyway, last time we ended off on the Hedora-inspired evolution for Muck. We'll be picking it up from there as we finish off the rest of the base Pokedex. Without further ado, let's begin! Warp Duo, the duet Pokemon. Starting off, we have this little pair of cuties here based on Canadian Warblers and Barbershop Quartets. Initially, this was only going to be the male bird as a solomon, but I turned it into a duo based on a suggestion, and it was completely the right decision. I knew these round little lads were going to be simplistic, all things considered. I did try giving these Pokemon hats at one point to complete the classic look of a Barbershop Quartet, but they looked awful, so I scrapped them and kept them as they are currently. This is a very simple Pokemon, but that's all it really needs to be. Alaroder, the phone stalker Pokemon. Scratching that horror movie itch, this line is based on the slasher classic Black Christmas, rotary phones, and alligators. This is one of my favorite lines in the entire region. No, my entire catalog. When I was planning out this region, I knew I had to do a Black Christmas inspired mon, and when the name of the evolution popped into my head, it was perfected. I love the phone receiver goggles/eyes for this Pokemon. Easily the best design element, only rivaled by the phone cable tail. Crocodile, the phone stalker Pokemon. Once I thought of this pun, the rest was history for this Pokemon. As the last sound type of the region, I wanted this Pokemon to be as good as possible, and I think I succeeded in spades there. Naturally, the only place to go from rotary phones was a cell phone. I love the smartphone screen patterns on the knees. The keypad on the back and the tail took a hot minute to iron out and make look natural, but it was more than worth it. This is still one of the greatest pun names in my entire catalog. Wapacleave, the Grass Axe Pokemon. Another cryptid fakemon. This is based on the Wapaloopsy, a strange noodle of a mammal that only the picture you can see here can really do justice. This Pokemon is the anti-lumberjack, going after anything that tries to cut down the trees they call home. I had a good amount of issues with this design. Initially, I did plan for this to be a potential convergent furret. Then I tried to make it into a bug type. Eventually, the axe tail popped into my head and became the focal point of the design. This was the first Pokemon to have Timber. You've seen this ability showcased in the Amalok reboot already. As for the design itself, it's alright. Nothing majorly wrong with it, but there's not a lot to it either. Oncouvian Drillbur, the mole Pokemon, the final regional variant of the Oncouv region. This initially was going to be a one-stage line based on snowmobiles called Snowmobile, but it didn't work out very well. I actually did the regional Excadrill first, then went back and made this Pokemon, making it based primarily off of sleds. This Pokemon is mostly the same as the first draft, only the torso changing length a few times. Outside of a pattern and a palette change, the biggest change is the claws coated in ice for some visual flair and a splash of color. I brought back Savage Snow from the Harpero lines. This was a good ability, and I didn't want it to be a one and done. Oncouvian Excadrill, the Snow Tunnel Pokemon. This was hell! Oh my god, I cannot begin to tell you the struggles I had with the original version of this idea and then turning it into a regional variant. I tried for so long to have this thing be a quadruped, acting like a snowmobile, and it looked awful in every sense until I had to ditch that idea. I added some snowplow elements to the design, mainly on the head replacing the top part of the drill. I added the splash of orange around the design so they wouldn't get lost in the shuffle of the face, and the design needed a little bit of contrast. For the last regional variant of the region, this isn't too bad. Not sure what else I would change in a redesign outside of that shiny. New Fulty, the static fur Pokemon, that asteroid boy of the region. This chonker is based on Newfoundland dogs. Outside of fixing the render on this Pokemon, the shading on the yellow sections are way too dark. I have no notes with this Pokemon. This is absolutely perfect otherwise. From the dopey, friendly personality, the contrast between the spiky fur and the mud-coated sections, and the overall palette. I think this is a complete success of a Pokemon. I love this one so much. Urspook, the Ghost Cub Pokemon, based on Spirit/Kermode bears. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. I based this off of the myth surrounding the species and their white coloration. This is such a cute Pokemon, even if most of my bear Pokemon look the exact same overall. I love the ectoplasm tail and the little tuft of hair on top of the head. I think it creates a really strong silhouette overall. Not much more to say there. The evolution really does the heavy lifting for the line, so let's quit stalling. Kermotion, the Spirit Bubble Pokemon. Evolved from Urspook when exposed to a water stone, this is based around the belief that spirit bears could dive deep underwater and show people to magical places. So, I leaned into that with this Pokemon, leading lost souls to the underworld to move on. I love the bubbles around the neck and wrists. That was a really fun design element to add on and give this Pokemon a unique identity for itself. I really like the transparency near the ends of the ectoplasmic sections. It's a small but vital touch of the design, I feel. The shiny is also pretty solid, all things considered. Mount Type, the Goofy Guard Pokemon, the last cartoon-based Pokemon of the region. This line is based on Mounties and Dudley Do-Right. Another suggestion from the person behind all the other cartoon Fakemon you've seen me do. This is probably the best of them in this region. This little fella's kinda peak. The hat turning into the mane, the little Mountie uniform up front, and the overall package is just adorable. Had to give it Oblivious to match Dudley's energy and the lack of intelligence they both have. Mount Titan, the Goofy Guard Pokemon. Now a full-fledged Mountie, this Pokemon is the dumbest in the entire region, but probably the most durable. Maybe I should have given this stamina, but that's neither here nor there right now. What matters is, this Pokemon is awesome. I have no major notes in terms of what is needed to change. Just an outdated rendering style is holding this Pokemon back. I love the addition of blue into the design. It really brings everything together nicely. I love how stupidly tall the hat is on this Pokemon. I just think that's funny. Tourism, the Cursed Luggage Pokemon. I wanted to do one more ghost type and then the name popped into my head and I had to make this line. Turning the zipper into the tongue was something I had to do. I thought it was too good of an opportunity to pass up. The stickers on the luggage being eyes is another fun detail I really enjoy. Very simple, but very, very effective shiny in my opinion. Tarion, the Tar Pit Pokemon. The final evolution. I'm free! This evolves from Eevee once it levels up holding the Thick Club and is based on tar pits and fossil remains. I wanted to do something really interesting for the final evolution, so a fossil-based one seemed like a great idea and it worked out wonderfully. This is the best of the lot. Easily. I love everything about this Pokemon, from the bone accessories, from the oil covering the body, and the blue skin contrasting the rest of the color scheme. Fucking love that shiny so much with the red accents and the tan skin. Someone had suggested a special version of Fluffy, and the idea was too good to pass up, so that's why I created crude armor for this Pokemon, even at the cost of that horrible fire weakness. Oh, I love this so much. Hootrim, the Scizor Pokemon. Our first Fossilmon. This is revived from the Scizor fossil, and is based on, and bear with me here, Kutinchela and Safety Scissors. Solid little bugger here, pun naturally intended. Not a whole lot to talk about with this stage, sadly. It's a prehistoric bug with safety scissor claws. The joke is moderately entertaining, but the design doesn't have a whole lot to it. Not sure what else I could have added, outside of a pattern on the back. Thankfully, that is not the case with the evolution. Sundeppy, the Scizor Pokemon. Now throwing in some Edward Scissorhands into the design. There is a reason for this. The scientific name for this creature is Kutinchela Deppy, after Johnny Depp says the creature's claws looked like Edward Scissorhands' titular hands. So I leaned into that with this design and made it an emo-looking bug with complex scissor claws, and it took so long to even get it to look this good. Initially, I had the back be comprised of strap-looking plates to reference the strap/belts on Edward's iconic outfit, but it got too complicated, so I settled on the 2 O-rings on the back to keep that vague visual reference. Had to give it the hairdo. That took a few tries, and combined with the sad expression, it creates the perfect look I wanted for this character. This is the more clever of the 2 fossils, but I think the other one's simplicity makes it a stronger Fakemon line overall. Milodirt, the ground sloth Pokemon. Revived from the Spade fossil, this silly little man is based on ground sloth/paramylodons. This is just a ground sloth drawn in the Pokemon style with a big old bit, but I don't care. This is adorable. Love the color scheme of this line. The orange and dark blue are always a winning combo in my eyes, with the pink accents in the face really drawing attention to the tongue and eyes. Solid proportions, even if the head could be a touch bigger. The shiny's alright. I think I could have given the green a better accent color. Milotank, the ground sloth Pokemon. Still a big goofball that could tear a car in half with ease. I wanted this Pokemon to be strong, but friend-shaped. Love the addition of the red, as a lot of my ground types will attest to. I think only the claws up front needing any sort of fixing in terms of design. They don't look right to me as they are currently. I also think the tongue needs a line down the middle. It kind of looks a little underbaked there. The shiny works a lot better in this stage, with the blue and green giving the shiny a globe feel to play into the ground type. This is my personal favorite of the 2 fossils of this region. Toxic Wing, the Paradox Pokemon. The first Paradoxmon, and it's the weakest of the bunch by a country mile. The colors gave me hell when I was developing this design. Back and forth with decisions. This isn't based around any particular dinosaur. I just wanted to make a fusion of Gligar and Gliscor. This is alright. There needs to be more pink in the design. It's lacking and it feels tacked on in places. I added the hair in the ears to make it feel more bestial and to make the silhouette a little more interesting. Plus the head needed to make it a little bit more unique. I do like the wings at the end of the tail. I think those work well. I just need to revamp the colors and the redesign in the future. Hoarding Gym, the Paradox Pokemon. Shocker, me giving even more love to Sableye. Who could have seen that coming? This is based around Smaug and hoarding dragons. I love the treasure-coated underbelly. I think that is a fantastic focal point for the design. The diamonds on the back and tail really bring that splash of color to the rest of the design that it really needed outside of the face and stomach. The gems on the stomach helped break up the solid gold underbelly, and I thought that was the only right decision. It'd be too boring otherwise. Naturally, I had to make the shiny gold with a silver underbelly. The second best of the paradoxes in this region. Savage Wit, the Paradox Pokemon. I based this unit off of Gigantopithecus, and this is easily one of the best past Paradox mons I've ever done. Love the autumn-colored leaf cape here. I think that really helps set it apart from a lot of grass types, and references the proposed colors for Gigantopithecus. I gave it a Jedi-like vibe with a hand sign. Totally not the Pokemon you are looking for. I gave it a minor crown to break up the shapes, same reason as the arms and the monobrow. I love the purple from Oranguru here. I think it really helps stand out against the cape. Feral Fangs, the Paradox Pokemon. The most obvious but effective past Paradox Pokemon. This is easily the best of the bunch. I know the Electric Dark Luxray is a basic bitch choice for a Paradox Pokemon, but damn it, you cannot tell me this doesn't look cool. I had the most fun designing this Pokemon out of all the past Paradoxes. This is just a perfect design in my eyes. From the strong build, to the color balance, to the raw, primal energy this design exudes. If I didn't have Wolverine on my team, this would have been added in a heartbeat. Burrowing Quill, the Paradox Pokemon. This is a Paradox Sandslash based around a Stegosaurus. It made the most sense to me. This is an alright Paradox Pokemon. Nothing special in all honesty. This is kind of barren color-wise outside of the quills on the back and the claws. I needed more color variation on the lower body, mainly in the legs. This is a good silhouette if nothing else. The long neck and the giant quills on the back. This needs more details in the next pass to really iron out the kinks. Slithering Aurora, the Paradox Pokemon. I based this off of the Aurora Borealis more than anything, and I love how it turned out. Naturally, the Aurora itself took the longest to get right. Initially, the Aurora on the head and tail were connected to parts of a bigger fin, but were removed and reworked into a pseudo-angular lure you see here now. I changed the shape of the teeth a smidge here to make them cover more of the mouth region. The overall design didn't change too much otherwise from the initial draft. This was good more or less from jump once the Aurora and the fins were locked down. Iron Pitch, the Paradox Pokemon. The first of the future Paradox Pokemon, this futuristic Apom/Ambipom is based around baseball pitching machines. I turned the ears into speakers. I imagine music or instructions from the coaches would come out of them in lore. The legs are the only part of the design I think needs another pass. The posing of them leaves something to be desired on a second look. I like the pink energy here. I think that looks really good against the purple of the body. I still hate the shiny rule for Paradox Pokemon across the board. Iron Waste, the Paradox Pokemon. Easily the best of the future Paradoxes in this bunch. This is based around Toxic Waste rule. So, I turned the tentacles into pumps to suck up toxic waste and convert it into power for this Pokemon. The top of the head took the longest time to get right. Had to redo it twice to get it as you see currently. I think the energy segments need more of a glow to them to make them stand out more outside of the highlights or the glass dome. I still love how this came out. Only one future Paradox mon of this batch is more unique than this one. Iron Fortune, the Paradox Pokemon. I based this Paradox Cofagrigus off of old Zoltar fortune-telling machines you'd see in carnivals or fairs. The perspective on the lower body took the longest time to fix, along with the hands for that matter. Only thing I could change now is giving the tiny face on the forehead little glowing eyes to make them stand out more. Otherwise, this is a serviceable Paradox Pokemon. Iron Heater, the Paradox Pokemon. This one was actually a request. Kinda. The person in question wanted me to try my hand at a retro future Paradox Pokemon, so I tried my best, but even then I don't think anyone really noticed. I mainly did this with the arms and feet having an old school retractable hose connecting them to the body like you'd see with some old school robots in fiction. I based this off of Quilava to be more interesting and provide some diversity to the Pokemon selected to be Paradox mons. The design itself is based around space heaters. This is probably the weakest of the future Paradox designs. Iron Bubble, the Paradox Pokemon. Based around deep sea drones, this Paradox Jupiter/Araquanid took a while to get right, and is one of the best future Paradoxes in my catalog. I really like how this came out in the end. The leg perspective and the dome took the longest to nail down. I had to readjust the legs so many times by the time this was finished. Other than re-rendering the shadows and highlights with my current style, I don't have any notes for this design. I suppose some of the line work is kinda shoddy on the energy sections, but that can be fixed. Solid Pokemon all around. Iron Mirror, the Paradox Pokemon. My favorite future Paradox Pokemon, not only in the region, but in my entire catalog. This Paradox Ditto is based on Liquid Metal and the T-1000 from Terminator 2. This is easily the simplest out of all the future Paradox Pokemon, but I think anything more would have ruined this design. I love the color scheme on this Pokemon. Very few, but each work to maximum efficiency. Love the render on the Liquid Metal body. I believe this is the first time I've rendered metal like this, probably missing something obvious in hindsight. The sideways smiley face was a suggestion that I am so glad I listened to. It creates the perfect off-kilter nature of this Pokemon so well. Orobinky, the Sleepy Snake Pokemon. The pseudo-legendary of the region, this sleepy little boy is based on the Ouroboros. This is easily the weakest of the line. The render and the pose could have been done so much better. I'm actually annoyed looking at this now. Screw-ups aside, I like the base design overall. The pacifier tail and the tiny little wings help the cute factor for this Pokemon a lot, and I do enjoy the colors here. Had to give it Comatose, though. Initially I did screw up the first time around and gave it Insomnia by mistake. Had to fix that later. Whoops. Snorroboros, the Pillowtail Pokemon, my personal favorite of the line. I fucking love this name so much. The only thing I want to change is the perspective on the Pillowtail. I'm not going to go into the rendering issue again. That's a complaint for the entire line, so I won't waste more of my breath there. I think perhaps I could rework the shiny. I don't think it's reaching its full potential as it is currently. The scale texture could also stand to be a bit more noticeable, I feel. Not by too much more, mind you, but enough. Iridescale, the Awakened Mind Pokemon. Replacing the Ouroboros with Quetzalcoatl, partially, anyway. This Pokemon has woken up and is ready for battle. I love the gradient on the wings and eyebrows. That completes this line and really helps sell the new Psychic typing. I tried to use the gold more sparingly on this stage since I wanted the wings to be the focal point of the design, so I scaled them back to as little as possible. I added the jewel on the forehead for an easy third eye illusion visually without having to commit to an actual third eye. The shiny's pretty damn clean, no issues there. At last, this is the final member of my endgame team. Bloody Cell, the Paradox Pokemon. Had to scratch that kaiju itch, and I wanted to make more Paradoxes in my own fakemon, so win-win. This Paradox Zilloqua is based on Shin Godzilla, and because of its chaotic nature and destructive capabilities, I made it into a Dark Dragon type. I love how this Pokemon came out. The only thing I need to change is the steam and smoke coming off of the body. That could have been done so much better, and it really needs some work. Maybe more of a glow on the cracked sections of the body to make the heat this Pokemon is giving off more evident. Aside from that, however, this is a perfect design in my eyes. Iron Ape, the Paradox Pokemon. The final Paradox of the region. This Paradox Kong Guard is based on Mechanicong, and I have no notes for this design. This is a perfect execution of what I wanted to do. If I had to be nitpicky about anything, I think I could have added more gold accents to the design, maybe around the energy sections of the body. That'll be something I play with when I eventually reboot this region years from now. I also maybe could have made the jewel/energy section on the crown bigger to help with the Pokedex lore this Pokemon has. overall, still damn good. Webrigano, the Bungee Bridge Pokemon. The first of the Monument Trio, still workshopping that name. The legendaries of this region are based around Canadian national landmarks, this being based on the Capilano Suspension Bridge. This was easily the hardest of the three to design, mainly the web sections of the body. I initially tried to model it after the bridge itself, but it looked like ass. So I had to make it vaguely web-shaped there with the web sections. The body was fairly easy comparatively. I modeled it after bungee diving equipment with the helmet and the straps around the body. The gradient on the web was a last-minute decision to make it feel more legendary, and it worked, frankly. This was almost bug psychic, but I changed it to bug fighting to be a smidge more interesting. Archititan, the Lightning Tower Pokemon. The second of the trio, this is based on giraffes, the Keelin, getting flashbacks to the Xenia region here, and the CN Tower. I modeled the neck and legs after the main body of the tower, with the antenna up top becoming the horns. The electricity main was added to give it more legendary qualities, and it looked a little barren without it. This is easily the best of the trio. It has the most successful integration of the landmark in the design. Only thing I might change is to make the eye its own unique color. I really love the shiny here. Easily the best of the trio. Niagara, the waterfall Pokemon. The central legendary of the region, our final Pokemon here, is based on pelicans and Niagara Falls. The biggest change needed out the gate is to fix the ectoplasmic beak and tail feathers. They look so lackluster here, it hurts the overall design. I can't even begin to tell you how much of a pain in the ass it was doing a layer over the fish skeletons to make it look like they were underwater. Oh my god, it took so long. The waterfall wings were naturally the first thing I thought of for this Pokemon, and I overall think they look pretty good, but I know I could probably do better nowadays. At least I hope I can anyway. I really do like the pinkish red of the body. I think it makes it pop nicely. Shiny is a meh, unfortunately. With that done, we have completed the Oncouv region. Despite making the mistake of doing all of Canada, I think this was a very successful region with a few misses this time around. I have the DLC for this region more or less planned out. I don't know when I'll actually be getting to it. Before we move on, some more housekeeping. It seems my idea to break up these video breakdowns into parts hasn't really been working out nearly as well as I hoped, so I'm in a bit of a pickle. The views and engagement aren't as good as I expected, but I like the easier render and editing times this format gives me. It's something I'm going to have to think about with future videos, since at the rate I'm going, I'll be caught up on my catalog before the end of the year. But, speaking of DLC, next time, we're headed back to the Amalok region. Due to the massive deforestation caused by Team Glamour, a long hidden section of the region has opened up, with a rumor of a golden city and Pokemon. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video. My socials are in the description as always. And let me know what your final team composition ended up looking like. Once again, I want to try and hit 500 subs by the end of the year. This is Austin, signing out.